You're tuned in to the DMV Hoops Podcast.
This is John the Scripter, head girls basketball coach at St. John's College High School, and this is the DMV Hoops Podcast.
Welcome to the DMV Hoops Podcast, the DMV's home for high school basketball. Hosted by Kurt Cross and featuring Chelsea Cross. We bring you the latest news, interviews, rankings, recruiting buzz, and standout performances from the public and private school basketball scene across Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Stream us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Buzzsprout, YouTube, and everywhere podcasts are heard. Now, let's get into it. Here's your host, Kurt Cross.
Welcome to the DMV Hoops Podcast. As always, I'm Kurt Cross. She is
Chelsea Cross.
And you know, we're at the Pro Skills Basketball High Academic Showcase. But when your boy rolls up, you bring him on the podcast, Coach Lenny Myers from Kennedy High School. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful Sunday, rainy Sunday.
Rainy as hell.
but blessed. God woke us up this morning and allowed us to be in the gym and see some good basketball today. So I'm blessed.
Coach, I want you to know, on this podcast right here, right now, he's in small company. There's only like two other guys who have been on our podcast 3 or 4 times. One of them is Mike G. Jones at DeMatha. One of them is Danny Abbas from DeMatha. You've been on here at least, this has got to be your 4th or 5th time with us.
Yeah, probably so. That's great company right there.
All right, here's a question for you. The first thing that comes to mind for me, we typically see you in the summer league. That's the beginning of the summer. Now you've seen another, 1,000 hours of basketball. So usually you're coming off of the previous season. So you've had summer league, you've had showcases, you've had team camps, a live period, and all of that. What are we anticipating now that you are a couple of months away from really being able to ramp things up for the winter season? What Lenny Myers am I meeting now versus when I saw you in May?
It's the same. This you know how this is. This is year-round grind. But there's different seasons, like you said. So we're entering, school's about to start. We're entering the fall season, and it's one of my favorite seasons because it's preseason right before we get started. So this is a critical time. We're going to be, in the weight room hard. So we've got a strong weight room and conditioning program scheduled. Team camps lined up for the fall. We're in several of those, so we're going to still be playing.
Is there fall league?
Fall, it's they're just games. So there are some fall leagues, but we like the team camps because you play like 3 games in a day.
Right.
And, so we always do the team camp route usually.
Okay. All right. We still got Gabe, right? So you're factoring into everybody's schedule right now. By the way, I will tell you something. I'm going to try to make you jealous. C.J. Jenkins called me. Chase Ryder called me. And was it Wilkerson? What's his name up the Seneca?
Yeah,
Valley?
Wilkerson.
Wilkerson called me. They already got me on the schedule of the podcast from their games.
Oh,
I'm waiting on you.
Oh, I'm late to the party.
You late to the party. I think December 16th we're going to be at Seneca. Chase and I are supposed to work out a date today for WJ. And Jenkins, he wants us, I think he wants us December 16th. I don't know. So, hey, we'll come up. Kennedy right up the road.
Hey, listen, I didn't know that was a thing. This
Right.
is the first year for that, right?
Right, it's the first year for that.
So, hey.
That means he's not on my IG. I advertise it on IG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's definitely a question that I want to ask you. You're not here to scout. You're here to take a look at some of your players who are in this high academic showcase. So the first thing that we need to say is congrats, because you got a player or 2 players who are qualified for the high academic showcase.
Correct.
Not only do they do it on the hardwood, but they're doing it in the classroom. What does that say about Coach Myers' program?
I'm proud of that. That we have players that qualify, to be an event like this, with such high academics. So, that's a great thing. And it really highlights character, of our guys. And a lot of guys would have qualified,
right.
for that. And so, we have a couple guys here that just high academic have a great chance to play at the next level.
Excellent. And we like to see those guys out here. Now, again, I usually see you in a summer league where there's a high percentage of private school kids. We've got a few more public school kids than private school kids that we usually see on this floor here today. Yeah. What do you expect your players to get out of this?
I just think it's great because there's so many college coaches here, and they actually coach the games.
Right.
And, and they're really involved in the drills. And, I've been sending kids here for the past 4 years.
Okay.
And, it's just great feedback. How often do you get to play in a game that's coached by a college coach?
Right.
And they're giving you feedback and they're giving you things that they look for at that level. And it's a great experience. And some of my players have, they've gotten their information and started the recruiting process, through this event. And I think that's happening every year for the guys. So they get all of those things. Great all-around event.
Dare I say, you are one of the most supportive coaches in the DMV. I saw you when Gabe won MVP at Summer League. You were there. You're here. What is it about your pride, and what is it about these players that makes you want to come out and support them even when it's, quote, just a showcase?
Yeah, and that just, when we say family, in our huddles, like, we really mean that. And so, when someone's playing or something, I always try to get out to support because of the relationships, and that's where everything starts, building those relationships. And, I want to see, be there to support, but also want to see my guys play. I love what I do, and, it's a joy to see them out here and competing and everything. But most of all, just to be there and support, and they know that I'm at everything, and just that I'm there for them. That support and that relationship is big.
I want to take you back. I want to take you back to Lancaster Mill Road. I want to take you back to Shenandoah. When you played November 1 through March 1, and then maybe you went to go play baseball or do something else. This is year-round.
Yeah.
They didn't have all these showcases when you played. They didn't have, the AAU circuit may have been there, but some kids came from rec ball. Some kids on your team put the ball down on March 1st, didn't pick it up till November 15th. These kids are expected to play, maybe you get a week or two off, but then AAU starts. And then here comes the Capital Hoops Summer League. And then here comes the live period. Then here comes the team camps. Here comes the showcases. Here comes Spark DMV, where you get individual workouts. How much has that changed since you were in school?
It's changed a lot. You definitely saw more 2 and 3 sport athletes back then. And it was funny, I was just watching a podcast with Rondo, and they were talking about this. But it's to the point, like, you kind of have to. If you want to really play at a high level, everyone's playing year-round, like you said. And I think that's with every sport, though. I know that I see that when you brought up baseball. You can't just go pick up a bat and glove and think that you're going, these kids are playing travel all year round.
Right.
Soccer, same thing, club all year round. And it's a lot different. So when you do find that sport that you want to pursue, you have to make a year-round commitment now.
You've got kids on your team that can go Division I. Yeah. But you've also got kids on your team who might not play after March 1st, the senior year. Mm-hmm. How do you coach them differently? Do you guide them differently? What are those relationships like? When you played, Harwood probably sent you to the counselor and you tried to figure out things for college or whatever. Now you've got to know Division I coaches, Division II coaches, JUCO coaches, Division III coaches. You got to know everybody. Right. So that job looks different. A stipend now means a little bit different than a stipend when in Harwood, by the way, as we all know, he's going full-time coaching now.
Yes,
He'll
sir.
be out of the classroom.
Yeah.
How tough is that for you to coach? And I don't mind calling out names, but I actually won't, though. But how is it to coach John Doe, who's Division I, but John Jones, who's Division III? How hard is that?
It's not hard. It's a little different sometimes, but really the overall standard is the standard. And whether we're preparing you to play Division I basketball or we're preparing you to go to UMBC to be a student and start to face life and adversity, a lot of those things are the same, right?
Okay.
So we're going to push you whether you're trying to play college or, you're just going to go to school or pursue a career. We're going to push you the same, right? Because the standard is standard, and those things are still going to translate, in other areas. But, and this is another good thing about these showcases. Like, I've built a lot of relationships with the different levels, like you said, D3, JUCO, D2, D1. And so to have those relationships and then kind of see where kids, are going to fit in, you have to build those. And But yeah, I think, for the kids who do want to pursue college basketball, it's an honest conversation, and this is what it takes. And, when they're not holding up to that, I'm going to let them know, this is what you said you're going to do. And so, the standard is the same for everyone, but you tailor it, certain things, expectations different depending on what they want to do to.
And it's tough because, as I've said to coaches before, sometimes the parents' appetite might be beyond the skill set of the kid or might be beyond what the kid wants to do.
That's true.
Maybe the kid loves the game. Maybe they're gifted in certain ways. But I say this all the time. I know our listeners are tired of hearing it. But here's the thing. There are kids on this floor and on every floor. If you're the man at your high school, when you go to play D1, D2, or D3, everybody was the man at their school at that point. You scored 1,000? Okay, dog, I did that too.
Right.
So, Kentucky or Louisiana. Well, LSU, they're in trouble. They only got 4 kids on their roster right now. Okay. They're in trouble. But University of Indiana, Notre Dame, Santa Clara, they're not all looking for 15 spots every year. Right. Now, with the transfer portal, sometimes they're looking for more than they were the year before. But how does that change things when do those honest conversations have to take place with you and with your players? Do you have much trouble there, or do all kids know sort of where they fit in?
At a certain point, today's landscape is so, you just don't know. It's so hard to go Division I out of high school.
Dude, it is.
Yeah. And so you may have someone, a Division I talent, and it doesn't mean, in today's landscape, it doesn't mean that you're going to go to Division I.
Because here's the thing. If you're coaching at University of XYZ, you're a Division I program, you were in the March Madness every year, and you've got this 17-year-old who shows so much promise and you want him, but then the portal opens up and you got a 6'7" 3-and-D guy who can defend and shoot the three, and he's 21 years old and he's ready to play.
Yep.
That's tough, right?
It's real tough.
Because you're coaching for your job too, right?
Who, me?
No, I'm saying on college.
In college, you're coaching for your job.
Right.
And those windows are small.
Right.
So you got to win now.
It used to be you get 4, 5, 6 years. Now you might get, I've seen coaches after 1 year, they go 14 and 17, and that's it. Right?
Yeah.
So how, that's changed. But as a high school coach, I'm just curious as to, maybe I already asked this, how do you guide that process? Because you might say, hey, John, I know they were looking at you. I know they came here, but the transfer portal just dropped 1,600 new candidates, and that's going to be tough on high school seniors, right?
It's tough. It's really tough on high school seniors, and that's why we just keep, open relationships with coaches at all. You have to look at different options. JUCO. We just sent Mike Wright down to JUCO. I just talked to him today and his mom, and they just moved in this weekend. He's a Division I talent, and he went the JUCO route. And I think that's going to be a great route where he is, Palm Beach State down there, number 1 Division II JUCO in the nation last year, right? And so, that was a great route for Mike. And that's not, when I played, Mike, he probably wouldn't be Division I somewhere.
Okay.
But, he bet on himself, and he will get there, but this is a different route. Prep school is a different route, maybe after high school. So there's different, you have to be open to everything. Division III, like we're at Stevenson, Division III basketball is great basketball. I played Division III basketball. But even now, I have to say it's even better because Division II, they all D1 guys, all of them.
Right.
That level of basketball, they're all D1s. And so then you trickle down, and the Division IIIs, they're like D2.
Right?
D2.
The great John Thompson, Georgetown University head coach, said something that always stuck with me. He said, many roads lead to Rome. And if you play D3 for a couple years, then you get a D1 offer. Guess what you're about to do? You're about to play and graduate from a D1 school.
Right.
And if you go to a D1 school off the break, if you're lucky enough to do that, there's one player who, and if people can do their homework, they can figure out who I'm talking about. I don't really try to call names out. I know a Gatorade Player of the Year who went to a Division I Blue Blood. I never saw him on TV his freshman year. Right. I saw him on the bench. Yeah. Second year, I saw him get a few minutes a game. Again, everybody is good at that. Everyone's great at that level, right? You're 1,000-point scorer doesn't do it anymore. I talked to a coach earlier this year who might get a 2,500-point player. Now, granted, we're playing 30 games a year now versus when you played, it was 22 games. That's it. You got 88 games, and I don't know if those points count in the MPSSAA state tournaments because everyone doesn't get that playing field, but you're playing maybe 100 games in high school. Now you're playing 100 games by the time you're a junior, right? So 1,000 isn't what 1,000 used to be, right? It's not what it used to be. Chelsea, what you got?
Let's go back a little bit. You talked about how you keep all of your guys at this standard. Tell me what the Kennedy standard is.
The Kennedy standard is based around hard work and good character. We really put a premium on that. And I think you win, with guys who buy into just being good people. On the court, great teammates. Off the court, holding doors open for people. In the hallways, being a model, student in the hallways, everything like that. And in hard work, and like all those things is easy to teach because it translates to everything, like I mentioned before. But that's the standard, really hard work. I think when people see Kennedy, they know that we're going to play hard. We may win, we may lose, but we're going to play hard and leave it all out on the floor. And, that's Kennedy basketball, working hard and having good character.
Coach, I will never let you get off this podcast without talking about your camp. Yeah. Did you get what you wanted out of your camp this summer?
Yeah, we had a great couple sessions at camp. We were at Odessa Shannon, one of our feeder schools, because we had some construction going on at Kennedy.
That's the old E-Brooklyn? Okay, yeah.
Great facility, air-conditioned gym. So we had a good time, great turnout. The kids worked hard, got better. We had the players working camp. They built relationships. Did some community service, and so that kept going strong. We had good turnout, very good.
And that's what people don't understand. I know you want to feed your program, but it's also about being in that community.
Absolutely.
But more so than years before, you can't just hope the kids are coming there. You want to build them now because if you can teach them a triple threat now, that means you're not teaching them in ninth grade. Exactly. Right? If you can teach them how to cut, pass, offensive rebound, if you ain't rebounding, you're winning, you can teach those things now. You can hit the ground running in 2030 with the new class that's coming in, right? Excellent. What do you want them to know about Kennedy basketball? Like I told the last coach that was here, the coach here at Stevenson University, I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm not the ESPN podcast. Chelsea does her job. I do my job. But total, we have 10,000 people that connect with us every month. You got their ear. What are you telling them about Kennedy basketball?
Again, our core values are working hard, good character. But, we have a strong program and we're still building. But my coaching staff is great. And everyone's dedicated to, I got to shout them out. Darnell Myers, Ryan O'Connell.
Please do.
Trey Cross, Kadar Muhammad. They really do a lot. Breaking down film. We do the most. I would say, there won't be a school that does more for our players than we do as far as exposure, events, social media, putting them in touch with college coaches and just giving them opportunities. So there's not a place that we don't exhaust all our resources and work as hard as possible for our players.
When you have a player like Gabe Colston, you talk about Gabe Colston. Is he ready for a great senior year?
He's ready for a great senior year. How can you follow up Montgomery County Player of the Year, then you go into the summer, Capital Hoops MVP?
Right.
I think he's moving in the right direction.
You think so? He got a future?
Absolutely.
Chelsea, got anything else?
Thank you for coming on the podcast again. Thank you for supporting your players. Thank you for being in the classroom and supporting those students. Thank you for everything you do for Kennedy High School.
Thank you for having me. As always, it's great talking to you all, so I appreciate it.
And Chelsea did say yesterday, we were ranking the best interviews and the best coaches. You're on my list, so is David Creedle, Mike G. Jones, my man over at Potomac. I can't think of his name.
Jeremy Myers.
Jeremy Myers, of course, C.J. Jenkins, and then why can I not call my man's name at Blake?
Oh, Brandon Howell.
Brandon Howell. You were one or two on her list. I'm going to tell you right now. You were number 1 or 2 on her list.
That's an honor. There's great company there. That's an honor.
But I'm giving you the homework. Yeah. Get at me so we can come out to Kennedy and broadcast.
Schedule, I'm going to give you, for sure. You got to come out to Randolph. You know that.
All right. This is the DMV Hoops Podcast. I'm Kurt Cross. She is
Chelsea Cross.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the DMV Hoops Podcast, your home for high school basketball coverage across the DMV. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, YouTube, Buzzsprout, and everywhere podcasts are heard. Follow us on Instagram and X at DMV Hoops Podcast. The DMV Hoops Podcast is hosted by Kurt Cross, featuring Chelsie Cross. Thanks for listening.